Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to talk about tables. Previously, we have created a couple of databases, but without tables, they're just empty shelves. So tables are the most important part of database. Without the table, you're not going to have a structured collection of data. We use tables to give structure and organize the data that we're going to insert to our database. So today we're going to take a look how tables work. Let's start with the technical terms for tables. Tables in database are structured collection of data organized into rows and columns. So the important part over here is structured. Tables give structure to our database. Let me give you a good analogy for tables. Think of tables as the heart of a database. They're like the main containers where all the information is neatly organized. Without tables, a database wouldn't have a clear structure or a way to hold and manage its data effectively. Let's look at the example that we used before. So we're going to look at database phone book, and we have a table contacts. So each contact in our table of contacts have a name, phone number, and address. So basically we are giving a structure to our table. So every person that we're going to add to our contacts is going to have name, phone number, and address. When we create a table, it's empty. It only has the columns that we are going to add to it. So in this case, we have the column name, phone number, and address. So once this table of contacts is created, it's empty. So every time we add a new contact to it, it's called rows. So every time we add new contact, we are adding a new row to our table of contacts. So databases are made out of tables. In big companies, the database usually have around 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 tables. So in a bigger scale, it's get a little bit crazy. So let's take a look at the little bit simpler version of an actual database. So over here, we can see a bunch of folders. So each folder is a table. So we have country, city, address, customer, and inside we can see the structure of the table. So basically inside of them, we're telling what are the parameters for the columns that each table gonna have. For a better understanding, let's imagine that in this case, you are the store and you want to receive the address of your customer. So you're going to have the table of addresses and you're going to have the table of customers with the customer name and last name and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to want to add those two information together in our database by creating a query and receiving back the complete information with our customer name and customer addresses. So that's why the database have bunch of tables. But for now, we're not going to worry about connecting tables together. For now, we're looking at the structure of our tables. Well, let's recap what we have learned about tables. Let's look at our phone book one more time. So the columns are the name, phone number, address. So when we create a table for the first time, we're only going to put the parameters that we want for our table. And the rows are the data that we're going to insert to our table. In the upcoming lecture, we're going to talk about different data types that we can add to our columns. So in this case, for the name, you want to have different data type like letters. And for the phone number, you want to have numbers. So in the upcoming lecture, we're going to talk about the different data types that we have in SQL. In this lecture, we are going to talk about data types. When we define what we want in our table, we don't only define the columns names, like in our table of contacts. When we create our table, we have to provide the name of the column and the type of information we are going to allow in a specific column. And this is really important because if we leave our phone number column type empty, we can have something like this where phone number is 123486790 And in the future, if we try to do anything with that information, we're going to face big problems. So in order to prevent future errors, we have to specify what type of information is allowed in each column. So in the world of MySQL, we have a lot of different data types. For numeric, we have int, tiny int, small int, medium int, big int, float, double precision, decimal, bit, bool. And for string, we have varchar, char, binary, var binary, tiny text, text, medium text, long text, tiny blob, blob, medium blob, long blob, enum. So as you can see, we have a lot of different data types that we can use. But for now, you don't have to worry about it because right now we are going to learn the most common one, which is int for numeric type and varchar for string. I just wanted you to see that there is a lot of different types, but the difference between them is very small. For now, we are going to use int for numbers and varchar for text. So let's talk about int. You can write int or integer, it doesn't matter, but I use int because it's shorter. Int is a whole number. So there are no decimals, and this is the max assigned value, which is 214,748,367. That's the max value you can assign to an int. And you can also have the same number but negative. But also you can have even larger maximum number if you set it up in such a way that you don't allow assigned, but don't worry about it. I just have to be more specific. And unless we're working with really big number, we don't have to worry about it. At the end of the day, it's a whole number. So something like 32 or 88 or negative 3,000 or 0 or 8,500. Those are all valid ints. For string, we have varchar, which is a variable length string. When I say variable length, that means we can specify how many characters is allowed in our column. For example, we have apple, tiger, banana. So apple has 5 characters, tiger has 5, and banana is 6. So 4 is also considered a varchar because it's in a quotation mark. And same for negative 444. But as you can see, the negative 444 length is 4 because we count the minus symbol for a character also. So varchar is the most commonly used because most of our text information does vary in length. Imagine you have printing company and let's say that you're famous for printing cool text on t-shirts, but as the owner you know that you can only fit 25 characters on the t-shirt, and that's when we can use varchar and allow only 25 characters in our column for t-shirt text. So that's int and varchar. And before we can end this lecture, let's go over one more time. This is how your t-shirt business table will look like in query. We will have int for quantity, varchar for design name with the length of 35, and t-shirt text with 25. So int for quantity because it's the best type for representing count of something, and the varchar for t-shirt text because we know how many characters we can fit on our t-shirts, and 35 or 50 or 100 for design name because it's something that we are not limited by anything. In our next lecture, we will focus on creating our first table. I'm confident that you are ready for this step. Thank you for completing this lecture. I see you in the next one.